Hello everybody, it's me, your best friend Swiss Dave again. Today I'm going to make gratin, which is a potato-based dish. Gratin is usually made as a side dish, but in this case it's going to constitute the main dish for me and my roommate. So we are two people. Again, we eat a lot. And we are doing this as a main dish instead of a side dish. So if you're cooking for normal eating people, two of them, and as a side dish, you can pretty much use half of the ingredients I'm using. So today I'm going to use about 1.5 kilograms of potatoes, 350 grams of Gruyere cheese. If you don't have Gruyere, or if you don't want to spend all the money for Gruyere, because Gruyere can be expensive, you could opt for Emmentaler cheese, or any kind of cheese with a hard paste that still melts well in the oven. You want it to melt and stay melted once it's melted, and not once it goes out of the oven. You don't want it to condensate, so to speak. Butter, garlic, eggs, cream, and oh Jesus, what is this called in English? Fuck. So I'm using nutmeg, and as for the cream, it should be 350 milliliters, but I just noticed that I only have got 250. That's not too bad. 100 more, 100 less, whatever. The eggs, I'm gonna use 5 of them, and then we have milk. Milk is going to be 650 milliliters, salt, and pepper. That's all you need to make this recipe. So yeah, it's pretty cheap. Anybody can do it. Even Poles can do this. Now, as for the potatoes, you want pasty potatoes with a high content of starch, and you also don't want to wash them too much, not to lose the starch. So I've peeled the potatoes. I'm going to cut them into slices. I've grated the cheese, and here I have the milk. Here is a piece of garlic I've cut in half. Now I'm going to use this where I cut it to, and I'm going to press it against this thing, which is where the meal will be cooked. This will be put in the oven. This needs to be heat resistant, which it is. So just very powerfully go all over to release the aroma of the garlic around. Let's do the borders as well as the bottom. Great. Now I'm going to warm the milk up and put the garlic in it as well. There we go. So just going to warm this up, not boiling, just warm. Afterwards I will add the 5 eggs and the cream. In the meantime, I will be doing the potatoes. I'm using this thing. If you have it, great. You can just shit. can use it with 2 hands. If you don't, you can just cut them. How thin do they have to be? Pretty fucking thin. I'm gonna show you. So this is a slice cut with the thing here. As you can see, it's pretty thin, and anything between 1 to 3 millimeters. Okay, I've cut all the potatoes into these slices. This is the milk that I've removed from the pan. As you can see, it's hot, it's steaming a little bit. I'm going to add the nutmeg, I'm going to add some salt, I'm going to add some pepper, and I'm going to put in also a little bit of thyme, some thyme, and dill, also some dill. Right, so how do I do this with one hand? Great. There we go. The dill. Okay, the nutmeg. Not too much. Some salt. And the pepper. Great. Now just try to mix this in a little bit. And I'll let it rest in the fridge as we continue the preparation of the rest. Now I'm going to mix the eggs with the cream. As I said, the cream should be 350 milliliters for this recipe. This is only 250, so I've added 1 extra egg, and I've also used a little bit more milk to make up for that. So I'm simply going to pour this in, and then simply using a fork or one of these. I'm comfortable with a fork. I'm gonna mix this whole stuff. It's better if you have 2 hands, so you can help yourself by, with one hand, lifting the stuff, and with the other hand mixing. So I'm gonna do that. Now I've achieved a homogeneous liquid here, all the same color, all the same consistency, which is great. So at this point I'm going to add the milk, which admittedly would have been better if I could leave it for another 5 to 10 minutes until it's properly cold, but you do that. I can't be fucked right now, to be honest. So just going to pour this in. Notice we are still keeping the garlic pieces in there. absolutely, for no reason, use a mixer, an electric mixer. That's just going to create too much air, make too many air bubbles, and modify the consistency. You have to do it manually. You don't have to do much. It's liquid with liquid. Just create a homogeneous substance again, and that's about it. Right. So next step. So I've taken the butter outside of the fridge for like all this time, so now it's room temperature. I'm just going to I'm gonna do it by hand. Fuck this. I'm going to just spread some butter on this thing here. Yeah, let's just do it by hand. Fuck this shit. Try to cover the whole thing, the whole bottom, the border, all of it. Oh, might as well. Use some more. Of course. Okay. It doesn't have to be excessively buttered. Just a thin layer of delicious aged milk. There we go. That's about it. I'm gonna wash my hands and come back. Now, what we are going to do now is we are going to place the potatoes inside of here with the cheese and the milk cream compound. And once this is completely filled, we're going to put it in the oven, which I have preheated, for about 60 to 90 minutes. Now, you can shorten the cooking time. An option you have is once you have the potatoes like this, to put them in the milk and let the whole thing boil for about 10 minutes so that the potatoes get semi-boiled, and then put them here with the cheese and then also the milk cream compound, and then you can leave it in the oven for about 45 minutes. I prefer it this way, and if you have the option, if you have a good oven with an option to make the top of the oven be the only source of heat, basically, use that so as to create a crust on top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the level of the thing for the last 10 minutes of cooking. So I will probably leave it for about 80 minutes in the oven at 180 degrees, and then the last 10 minutes I'm gonna put it as high as possible, increase the temperature to 200, 220, so as again to create a nice crust on top. I think that should be all of it. I'm going to show you a little bit. It doesn't take a genius. You just take the potatoes and you put them like this. They have to like scale. You need to put them one on top of the other, sort of like a fallen domino, you see. And if possible, try to keep slices of the same size together, but you don't have to be a fucking nerd about this. Just don't stress over it. And yeah, now this is not the traditional recipe for gratin. The original recipe does not use eggs or cheese, but I just like it more this way. The original recipe without eggs and cheese might be better for having exclusively a side dish, but this, I feel like this makes it more of a proper meal in its own right. So I think we will have 3 columns of potatoes. Seems about right. That's it. One more. Yeah, that seems about right. Don't like this. Like this one more. And if you can, fit them as tightly as possible. You want the end result to be compact, a compact kind of thing. And not just a squishy, mushy ensemble of potatoes just laying there and falling apart. Now, so this is the first layer here, and in order to help the compactness of the final product, as well as to make it more tasty, we're going to add the cheese. So spread it in there, sprinkle. Honestly, just go ham with it. And I don't mean use ham, I mean go ham with the cheese. You should still be able to see the potatoes, don't completely cover the whole thing. But otherwise, don't be afraid of it. So this is one layer. I'm going to continue until either the thing is full or I have used all of my ingredients, and then I'm going to continue showing you. Okay, so a quick side note. I most likely should have been using half of the ingredients from the start. I probably have been using this recipe with half the amount of ingredients every time, and I just forgot about it. So yeah, do not use 1.5 kilograms of potatoes. It's way too much. Now here on the last layer, I think I've done 3 or 4 layers. Here on the last layer, I'm gonna use a little bit more cheese, because it's gonna create more crust this way. So for this one layer, I'm going to actually cover pretty much the whole thing. And now I'm going to pour this thing inside of here, so as to submerge all of it, basically. I can't do this with one hand. Okay, wow. So I've done about 3 to 4 layers of this, I think. I've put extra cheese on top of the last layer, and I've poured the milk cream compound inside so as to almost completely submerge it, almost completely. And now I'm going to put this in the oven at 180 degrees for, as I said, about 80 minutes. And then the last 10 minutes at 220 degrees and raise the height of the thing. See you in about 1 hour and a half. Okay, so this is it. From the looks of it, it seems slightly too liquid, but we'll see. It's extremely hot. Okay. And it's holding together well enough. Not as well as I would like it to. It came out better the last time, but I think it's fine. So that's it. Brown apple teeth.